Originally, I was going to call this video Skate 4 is a Sisyphean experience, but then I realised that that would need a lot of explaining, which I'm going to do anyway. The term Sisyphean comes from the tale of Sisyphus and the boulder. It basically means a task that can never be completed. In the case of Skate, or Skate 4, whichever you want to call it, the task that can't ever be completed is simply having fun, because the game is in an absolutely horrible state. I've tried to stay optimistic, but after getting the Platinum Trophy, I think I've earned the right to bitch and moan about everything wrong with the game, because boy, there is a lot wrong with the game. Before any of you say the game is still in early access, that is not a valid excuse anymore, because A, it's been 5 years since the game was announced and production started on it, and B, EA aren't really listening to the community's feedback at all. Let's start by talking about the game's production cycle. As I mentioned a second ago, it's been 5 years since the game was announced and production started on it, but it honestly looks like they've only been working on it for about 2 years. For reference, the original Skate also took around 5 years to make on a completely new engine. But the main difference between that one and this one is that the original was very polished and came out in a pretty good state, minus the glitches, but they were never really game-breaking. Skate 4, however, is a janky mess that shits itself if you play the game too fast because the servers can't take it, even though the servers aren't even that full. The game usually peaks at around 22k players at daily reset on Steam, which, you know, it's not awful, but compared to the previous entries in the series, especially Skate 3, this is an absolute chump change of a player count. Anyways, that's a discussion for another time. I want to focus on how unpolished the game is. We've got buggy terrain, e.g. places where you can grind flat ground, launch out of the map, and get out of bounds. And graphical errors, such as textures not loading or taking too long to load. Just look at this example where I go to customize my skater and elements of my face, most notably my eyebrows, take a split second to load in. These glitches shouldn't be in a game that's been in development for 5 years. Now, I want to talk about the content in the game, or rather the lack thereof. Even though there's currently an event going on in the game, there's fuck all to do because it's always a matter of doing the same boring rinse and repeat challenges that we've been doing for the past 2-ish months. When we do get new challenges, however, they're completely redundant because the rewards that come from these have no purpose. Take this week's Skate-Oween challenges, for example. There's no point of doing them because the rewards are shit. You get a few chocolate coins, and then if you finish every single one of the event tasks from weeks 1 through 3, you can treat yourself to, drumroll please, a witch's frock. The good news is that it only costs 1,500 chocolate coins, which you'll definitely have after doing all of the tasks over the past few weeks. But the bad news is, it's a fucking witch's frock. Who is skating in this? This has to be one of the stupidest rewards I've seen, period. Not just in Skate. It's like the devs are taking the piss out of us. Sure, we're getting some limited time rewards, if you want to call them that, but they don't have anything to do with skate culture, except from the deck, because doy, it's literally a skateboard. You know what brand would have been great to get in on this event? Creature, who are already somewhat in the game and are heavily inspired by the horror genre when it comes to both their deck graphics and apparel. I guess the game isn't making enough money for them to justify that though, which is insane because the game feels like such a cash grab. I personally feel like EA have brought back this franchise purely to make bank off of nostalgia because this game is a husk of what Skate once was. We're missing so many features from the previous games, but they keep pushing this still working on it slogan further and further down our throats with every update. And they keep expecting us to eat up the bare minimum like we're little piggies at the slop trough. Week in, week out, they're forcing us to make do with the bare minimum. Skate the same places and complete the same missions for the 100th time. All for terrible rewards because there's barely any good free rewards. And it gets even worse after you 100% the game because you literally don't get anything other than rip chips. Like, you can't redeem them because you have pretty much every item in the game. Unlike the previous entries in the franchise, Skate has very little replayability because it's the same rinse and repeat grind on a pretty small map. I wasn't being hyperbolic when I said we're being forced to skate the same places and complete the same missions for the 100th time. I was being very, very literal. All you ever see on TikTok or shorts or reels, wherever you get your short form content, are a bunch of variations of either the canal gap, the church gap, the pool gap, or the stadium gap. Creativity is already dead in this game because people can't be bothered to use their skater eyes after grinding 3 weeks for a fucking witch's frock. I've tried to stay optimistic because I love the Skate franchise and I want to see this game thrive just like Skate 3 did back in like 2015 and 2016. But they're making it really difficult to stay optimistic when they keep pulling shit like this. There is no point of playing Skate once you finish the quote-unquote campaign. I use that term very lightly because it's more like a glorified tutorial. Because there's nothing to do except go for the Platinum Trophy, which I know doesn't appeal to everyone. For a game about skating, it really doesn't engage in skate culture all that much. Everything about the game is corporate. From the clothes to the soundtrack, it just feels like it was made by a Zoomies employee that only works there for the bag, rather than because they're part of the skate scene. Which isn't a bad thing, by the way, you know, a job's a job. But when it comes to a game about skating, you'd think they'd want to at least try to engage with skate culture. We had the Dime Glory Challenge park in Season 0, but that was very much an optional thing that you could go and check out if you wanted to. I'm sure a fair margin of the player base didn't even know that it's based off of a real thing because EA barely promoted the actual event itself. It was just kind of there to make them money, and that's ultimately all Skate 4 is as well. It's just kind of there to make EA money off of the back of this nostalgic franchise. This isn't a skate game. This is merely a game about skating, with the true end game being fashion. This game's got me feeling like 2023 Carlisle Aikens in the SLS Select series with the way I prioritize my drip over my actual skating. It's fucking ridiculous.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
It just feels like there's no real care being put into the game at all at the minute. There's still people stuck on the Isle of Grom, the replay editor is still stuttering on console, people are apparently losing Sandvan bucks when redeeming stuff in the Skate Pass, and multiplayer just straight up doesn't work most of the time. They said they're fixing these problems in the weekly grind, but they probably won't be fixed until Season 2 releases in, I think, December? They're so fucking lazy, honestly. It's a miracle that we're even getting to play the game because the game is far from finished. But, as I said at the start of the video, the game is still in early access is not a valid excuse anymore. It's been 5 years, wake the fuck up.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.